Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello and welcome to Toon Jam. I'm Matt,
And I am MJ Man.
and today I will not interfere with today's show about what if. I'm going to end that,
Probably wise. Yeah, probably.
I'm not going to do the whole episode like that, don't we?
One day, though. One day it's going to happen.
Maybe when we do our last episode.
The worst one.
Entirely as the watch.
Ruin the legacy of Toon Jam with that.
Ah, yes, this episode had an excellent theme tune.
It was my favorite.
Oh boy, yes, today we are doing Marvel Studios' What If? Brand new on the scene. Brand new. So let me tell you a bit about it if you've not caught it yet, if you're still yet to watch it, or if you were like, huh, I didn't even know that was out. Well, what if ... question mark? If you wanted to search it, is an American animated anthology series created by A.C. Bradley, who has worked on things like Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia, and Three Below, Tales of Arcadia for Netflix. But this was made for the streaming service Disney Plus, based on the Marvel Comics series of the same name, and of course the many Marvel movies that we've seen in the past. I don't know, what is it now, like 20 years?
Yeah, something like that,
I suppose. It is the fourth television series in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, produced by Marvel Studios and the studio's first animated series. The series explores alternate timelines in the multiverse that show what would happen if major moments from the MCU films occurred differently. Bradley serves as head writer, with Brian Andrews directing. So he's worked on things like Star Wars, Clone Wars, Samurai Jack, and My Life as a Teenage Robot. Fun stuff. Jeffrey Wright stars as the Watcher, who you heard me do a stunning impression earlier this episode, who narrates the series alongside the many MCU film actors reprising their roles. By September 2018, Marvel Studios was developing a number of series for Disney Plus, with Bradley and Andrews joining by the end of 2018. The series was officially announced in April 2019, and Marvel Studios head of visual development Ryan Menerding, sorry if that's pronounced incorrectly, helped define the series' cel-shaded animation style, which was designed to reflect the films and take inspiration from classic American illustrators. And I'm going to add this, it looks like a comic, so
yeah,
I don't know why I didn't say that, but there you go. Animation for the first season is provided by Blue Spirit, Squeeze and Flying Bark Productions, with Stephen Frank as head of animation. The first season premiered on August 11th, 2021, and will consist of 9 episodes, concluding on October 6th. It's part of Phase 4 of the MCU. A second 9-episode season is expected to premiere as early as 2022, so you won't be waiting long, folks. Don't you worry. Despite the series anthology format, the writers conceived a story device for the first season that allowed them to have some connectivity between the episodes. As Bradley and the writers were developing the script, they realised that Captain Carter, who appeared in this episode which we watched, would, and this is a quote, bubble up and became more important alongside the Watcher, and they decided to revisit her story in every future season, so she will be back for more. Bradley was asked only to explore what-if concepts for existing MCU stories, so characters introduced in Phase 4 of the MCU do not appear until the second season of What If. Some of the initial 30 concepts that were not chosen for the first season appear in future seasons of the series, along with new concepts. So here's a few of the unused pictures. So this is a little fun bit for you, what we could have seen but didn't.
Mhm.
So the first one, which might seem familiar to those who watched Spider-Man animated series, but an episode where Spider-Man turns into a real spider that was deemed too dark and and too body horror for
Oh, really?
Marvel's target PG-13 TV-14 rating.
Oh, I'd definitely want to watch that if that's where they were going with it.
Yeah, well, maybe in the future, but probably not.
Yeah, just get a full Cronenberg spider film.
Well, that was an episode, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was pretty scary as well.
Yeah.
If I remember.
Because that was like, you have an episode that whenever you watch the program, that's the one that comes on.
Yeah.
For some reason, that always happens. That is exactly that episode for me was for the Spider-Man.
Was it? I'm sure there's a clip of it in the intro, isn't there? Like for the series. I'm sure there's a bit where he's yeah.
So maybe it's just like we're not going to use it, but it happened.
Yeah.
And there's also there was a Jurassic Park inspired episode featuring the Avengers as dinosaurs during prehistory.
What? That's pretty funny.
Didn't make it to the full series. But to be honest, I'd rather watch that than a zombie one.
Yeah. Yeah, Dinosaur Avengers would be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And a crossover with Star Wars characters like Luke Skywalker.
Oh, see, that's somewhere I'm surprised they haven't gone yet. Because they can.
But you know what? I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, well, yeah, me too. But
that's when it gets to a point where you're like, actually, that's when you get things taken off you. That's when you get your toys taken off you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not playing with them right.
That's it.
But there you go. So who knows what else we will see down the line. Fingers crossed, Dino Avengers makes a comeback.
Oh yeah, Cronenberg Spider-Man as well. I'm up for that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, so as far as reception, let's go to, I'll visit IMDb first. So we have a 7.6 out of 10 rating.
Oh.
Which I'd say for quite early on is surprisingly low.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just because, usually all the fans just go there to be like,
hit it straight away. This is more what it would land on eventually. So maybe it will be lowered eventually. Maybe it will stay at that. Who knows? But Rotten Tomatoes, our good old friend. Rotten Tomatoes. So we have two scores for Rotten Tomatoes. So what do you want first, the audience or the critics' choice?
Yeah, so audience says 7.6 on IMDb. What do they say on Rotten Tomatoes?
90%.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I
guess that checks out. Yeah.
The critics' rating is 93%.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, pretty interesting.
That's high. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's generally well received. It would seem. But what's Twitter got to say about What If?
Yeah, Twitter seems fairly happy with it. Not too many complaints. We've got Ramzizu, who says, "Just watched the second episode of Marvel's What If, and it's so damn good. The interactions between characters are so wholesome. It's weird that I hadn't seen the timeline buzzing about this when it came out."
Interesting.
So
a hardcore love.
Happy with the characters, happy with what's going on, and they thought they'd see more of that. Why isn't Twitter exploding with all this? That's what their reaction. I mean, sometimes that happens. You're like, I need to go somewhere to see if everybody else feels the same. Like, what? Am I alone in the vacuum?
You just want to see. Like, I love this so much. Is everyone else appreciating it?
Yeah, just to make sure you haven't had some sort of like brain embolism, and it's you're feeling really weird about something that you maybe shouldn't be. Don't know. Sometimes it happens. We've got Fresh Yill, who says, this is more of a heads up than anything to Marvel. He says, the names in the opening credits of Marvel's What If show give away a lot of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, True.
That is true. I've never understood that, why they do opening titles like with with characters that aren't like recurring.
Yeah,
Like,
and especially when it's like special guests that they've been in it before as some sort of surprise murderer.
yeah, and they're back.
And you're like, oh, they're back in it. This is clearly.
Yeah, and I mean something with this where it's like everyone knows who plays what character.
Yeah.
Like it's yeah. I think not so much in this episode. I don't think we really had any that were like huge, but I think the second episode apparently that's got some, like, you're gonna know who's in it by the time the titles are finished, basically.
Yeah. Well, what I mean, just before we move on, because I want to say this while I remember it, I keep noticing, and it's not really about the show, but a lot of websites keep reporting about certain actors not being in it, and it's kind of like, well, they've got to pay these people a lot of money.
Yeah,
they're not going to use all of them, are they?
Well, that's it. Yeah.
And they almost do it like it was a snipe. Like, can you believe they didn't get this person to play this role?
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, I can, because he got paid millions and millions for the film. So.
Yeah. If you were in the financial department, you'd also not be surprised.
Yeah. You can cast this person, not that person, this person. No. Yes. No.
Yeah. At the same time, it is weird that like they've just kind of cherry picked a bunch of people. Like,
I reckon they just have like a ceiling.
Yeah.
On how much they're willing to pay someone for this show.
Yeah, it could be lines as well, like how many lines they actually get.
Yeah.
Like, so some of the big characters literally say one thing, so it's like, oh, that doesn't actually cost us that much, so we can get. Yeah. So yeah, it's a weird one. We've got Just Bree, who says, time to catch up on some Marvel What If. Let me get the tissue ready for this T'Challa episode. And then there's a single tear emoji afterwards.
Yeah. Well, that's bound to, obviously this is like his last performance, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, heads up, Chadwick Boseman fans. This is the place to go to get that extra little bit. But yeah, tissues at the ready, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't seen that one, so I can't tell you if it's a tearjerker or not.
But a sad one as well as being sad.
I know, it could be doubly sad.
That'd be horrible.
Speaking of sad, that Aunt Zelda says these Marvel What If animated shorts are just making me crave the movies being more diverse than they were. It's just kind of making me sad.
Right. Interesting.
That's quite an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, we talk about diversity a lot on this show, but these films have sort of started towards the end of no one's that bothered about diversity, well, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then ended at the point where obviously it's still going on. So the most current, diversity, which is, you think would get more and more.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the films, especially early on, that's what they're using, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose this is almost their chance to try and redeem themselves, I guess. By I mean, we see it a lot in this episode, don't we? Like with like the swapping out a female character for the lead. It's very much, and they're very aware of it as well, obviously.
Yeah, well, you got to think of when it's set as well, so it makes it a big thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It makes sense as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of upsetting that they didn't do it in the films, but I suppose this is a time to shine. You get to see some different versions of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully more to come. And then finally, we've got Crabcake0455, who says, can we get a Marvel What If where Doctor Strange is played by someone who's actually attractive?
I didn't know. I mean...
So sick burn on Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. Who knew that people were craving the need for Doctor Strange to be attractive as well?
I know, yeah.
I mean, it's all down to taste. A lot of people do like Benedict Cumberbatch, but take that out of the question. I mean, the fact that he has to be attractive is such a strange thing in itself.
I know. He's called Doctor Strange. If anything, he should be hideous.
Yeah. He should look strange.
Yeah, look malformed, like an ever-shifting face.
It's so bizarre. Who knew that he was supposed to be, GQ Man of the Year?
I know, but I mean, I don't think that's what the Marvel What Ifs are for. This is,
no.
It's like I think there's a bit more to it than just being like, oh yeah, what if Doctor Strange was played by somebody else?
Yeah, that just sounds like someone that takes every opportunity to complain about the looks of Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, could be. I mean, it's definitely there's two sides out there. There's people who think he's very much like, he is GQ Man of the Year.
Yeah,
and there's others who think he looks like an alien. So he's like the Marmite of actors, Benedict.
Yeah,
like
he is if anything, that makes him more fit for Doctor Strange.
Yeah, how strange that he can part people into such different camps, like that blue gold dress or whatever it was.
Yeah, he is the real life version. The blue gold dress. Okay, so is that all the Twitter quotes?
Yeah, that's all we've got on Twitter. So, some opinions.
Some strange criticisms that probably don't really belong even to What If.
Yeah.
But otherwise, very favourable reviews.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's dig in. First thing, I want to kind of discuss whether these things will ever come to light in a live action world. Like what you think of that, because I don't know. I mean, I know you haven't seen Loki.
No.
The whole story is about timelines and basically opening up the multiverse.
Right.
And I mean, it's, even before Loki, we knew they were doing that. The title of the new Doctor Strange film is The Multiverse of Madness. The new Spider-Man trailer came out today. That's all about multiverse. Obviously, we're seeing old Marvel characters pop up. But these theoretically in the MCU exist.
Yeah.
They're not just a cartoon. I mean, from the first episode, would you be happy to see any of these come to the movies?
Well, this episode, I mean, this is obviously like a spin on Captain America, and like the first Captain America, probably wasn't one of my favorite Marvel films.
Yeah.
So maybe not particularly revisit this one, but like I guess the concept in general.
Well, I mean, I suppose they wouldn't revisit the film, but more like Captain Carter. So
bring Captain Carter to live action.
So in this episode, instead of Steve Rogers becoming Captain America, it was Peggy Carter.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah. My main issue is just personal in the fact that obviously it's old timey, so that's not really the time I want to revisit. But yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. But at the same time, there's also the argument of like, does it need to be live action? Like, is that?
Oh no, not at all. But more, would you like to see the odd one just pop up in a film as well? Do you know what I mean? Like she comes in an Avengers film, clears off at the end of it, back to What If.
Oh yeah, like makes an appearance instead of like doing a whole What If. Like,
not necessarily. I mean, if you wanted a film, then say it. But
Yeah, I mean, I want Cronenberg Spider-Man. I'll keep saying it.
Jurassic Avengers, the movie.
Yeah.
I want a 3-hour movie.
That's it. But I'd definitely be happy with that. Like, why not? The thing is, we've known about the multiverse for a while. Yeah. Like, it's been hinted at and stuff along the way, and obviously it's been in the comics for a while. So, like, if they're happy to bring these characters into the MCU in an animated form, then why not pop them up in the films? Like, they should get their screen time, I think. And I mean, as long as it doesn't confuse audiences, because I know. Like the multiverse, just having a brief look through Twitter about this episode, some people are very confused about how this all works. Because, like I suppose comics is kind of a unique thing in the way that you've got all these stories, and there's also offshoots of those stories. Like anyone can create a story and it can be very different to the one that you just read, but it can also still exist within so it can cause confusion. But I think, if we have Marvel What If there as the guideline to show you like, oh, this is where they came from, then there should be a good reason to have them pop up in live action, because that can be the place to refer to people from, like, oh, check out What If, like, you see what their story's all about. So yeah. What about you?
I think it'd be wicked. I would love to see Captain Carter on the big screen.
Yeah, just fighting alongside the rest.
Yeah. I don't want to see everyone. I don't want to see zombie Avengers, if I'm honest. On the big screen, it's just like a lot of people love that, or I'm always just like, well, don't know why you have to make everything a zombie.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being entirely honest, both zombies and Avengers are things I feel like I've seen way too much of.
Yeah. So putting them together is just
it's like, well, remember this? Of course you do.
This is the place to do that, though, isn't it? So if you're going to have that, I'm happy for it to be on What If.
Yeah.
Like one episode on it is fine.
So you can skip it and then.
Yeah. And it's over in 30 minutes, whatever, cool.
That's it.
I don't want a 2-hour long movie that then, you
have to, continues throughout the saga.
Yeah, and then becomes way too big a thing. But yeah, no, I think it's good. I think I might be wrong here, but I feel like Star Wars were the first sort of franchise to start making animated stuff and bringing it on the big screen as a live action, which is obviously also Disney now anyway. But when they do that, if you watch the animated stuff, it's really exciting. I don't know why it's more exciting. I guess because you've seen it and you want to see what it looks like on the big screen.
Yeah.
Oh yes, this is amazing. So like when Ahsoka came into Mandalorian, it was a big thing for people that watched it. So yeah, I think it's definitely, it makes things interesting, and it gives you just a little bit extra, doesn't it, to go and I remember that from this.
Yeah. I mean,
in a new way.
Yeah, I suppose it's the same sensation of like it going from the comic to the films, I guess, in a way, isn't it? Like, it's one thing to read them in panels and see them hand drawn, but then it's another to see, an actor like in shape, like in costume, in full, it does change the perspective of it, and it's it is fun to see that adaptation.
Yeah, and how good is it when you see something really, really obscure find its way to the screen, and in a nice, like for example, the new Suicide Squad film. When I went to watch that, I never in my life thought, and this is a spoiler alert for anyone that's not seen it, that I would see Starro on the big screen.
Oh man, yeah.
Which, I mean, he is in the trailer, so
yeah,
it's not really well. But yeah, that's such a strange character, and then you see him on the screen, and it's like, whoo boy.
That's cool. Yeah.
So next up, Bizarro, I'm hoping.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, it's strange, really, like why we get a kick out of that. But I suppose it's that's I guess these whole films are based on that sensation, really, of they've got a fan base that are like, we like all of these particular things, and then it's their job to kind of bring them to more screens for us and stuff. So, but yeah, it's exciting. And so, did you what were you thinking initially with this episode? Did you like the way it looks? What do you feel about the
so I think I did like the animation when I first saw it, say like just on the screen or whatever, like the pictures of it and maybe a trailer. I was like, not really, neither here nor there with it. It just looked pretty standard, cell shaded. But watching it, I thought it looked really good. Especially, I think they did a really good job with the action. And it felt like it did feel more comic book like. The way they moved and sort of the explosions, and it looked halfway. It didn't always look CG. Yeah. But some of it looked really CG.
Yeah, I think there's a mix. It's that hybrid we've kind of talked about a little bit before on the show of that's exactly what they were trying to do, was like they made it in 3D in order to try and make it look like it was 2D. So, but it works really well, like, and it's very smooth. But yeah, you do get those moments where it's like, oh, I think that is just 2D, like an explosion or something will go off, and it's like, oh yeah, and it does, like you say, it does make it look very comic authentic, like. But it's nice to watch though. It's pleasant on the eyes.
I think the only real my issue with it wasn't that I thought the animation was brilliant. I thought really the pacing. It felt like they were squeezing too much in and doing it really, like everything was too fast. Even the interactions between the people. It was just like they were trying to fit in the 2-hour-long storyline of Captain America.
Into half an hour
version, and squeezing it into half an hour, and it just was like, all right, I'm not. This is too fast almost. And I thought they kind of let go some of the slower scenes that they put in there. So there were slower scenes, but because they were running at too fast a pace, it didn't land as they should have done. Some did, some didn't. That was my main gripe with it. I just felt like the pacing was a bit too quick. And it's strange as well, really, because like, it's clear that like they're hitting on the same like very tread on ground. Like, I mean, like there's literally a whole film about essentially the steps that happen in this. So you think they'd kind of skip over a lot of stuff that was like, we know that this is where it goes or whatever, like, to just give them a little bit more time or something. But I mean, I guess, like they want people to be able to jump on without seeing the stuff before. I don't know, but like it seems odd that someone would watch this first. This is, I mean, it's for people that have seen it, isn't it?
Because then it's not really what if, is it? It's
just like, here's some stories.
It's when.
But there's definitely a sort of, it could just be because this one they are carrying on from it. So it would be interesting to watch the episodes that are completely self-contained. And see if they still do the same thing. I imagine, so like this one is the same story. Only like slightly different. Whereas I imagine some will be quite a lot different. Those are definitely the ones I'm looking forward to. Because I mean, as far as a what if question, I don't think I've ever asked myself, like, what if Agent Carter turns into Steve Rogers personally. But I mean, it was still good to see, like, it's still entertaining, and I think they did do a good job of sort of like, making a point of the sort of like equality at the time sort of thing, because it wouldn't have been a smoother transition if Agent Carter suddenly replaced Steve Rogers. Like, it's true, like there would have been pushback and stuff, like probably way more than what happens in this, like undoubtedly. But like it's kind of good that they approached it in the way they did, I think, because just kind of makes you aware, like, oh yeah, that's what they were like at this time. I mean, we're still like that now, so but even more so like back in the day. So yeah, that was cool. I think my issue, like I think sort of like the most obvious issue for me was that when Agent Carter, like she's had the serum, and like, she's still inside the thing. When it finally opens up, she doesn't really look that much different. Like, no, it was hard. I was like, has she got bigger? Or is she the same? I can't tell.
In my head, she was going to come out with Chris Evans's exact body type from the film. Because why wouldn't she? If anything, she was bigger built than him going in, so she should just be huge. Like, so, because I remember watching the Captain America film and being genuinely like taken aback of how big Chris Evans looked when he came out. They'd shrunken him down for the pre stuff.
There was no muscle definition, was there, on her whatsoever?
No, you couldn't. It was like, I think she's taller. I think that's what.
She was bigger, I think, dimensions wise. Like she was all around bigger.
Yeah.
But it was just like, hard to tell.
Yeah, it's like she just had like loads of t-shirts on. Like,
yeah. Well, you got to think as well, in the movie, you know, he comes out, he's like flipping, his whole torso is on show.
Yeah.
So his you know, his chest, his pecs, his abs, all glistening, defined. She's wearing like a vest.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. And then her arms don't look any. She's just got, you know,
toned.
Yeah, like it just. I don't know if they just made her head smaller.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like it was kind of. I was like, oh, it was kind of disappointing because like yeah, like technically, if it's the same stuff, she should have come out as big, if not bigger, than Steve Rogers. So I was kind of upset about that. And then going forward, I was just kind of disappointed for the rest of the film, of the show after that. Like, oh man,
because they could have done it. They could have done it, you know, still.
Yeah.
So that all they needed to do is add muscles, but there was no real obvious change.
No, it really wasn't. So you know, that was kind of frustrating and annoying.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the design of her suit either, which was just kind of like Captain America's basic stuff with the Union Jack on or whatever.
Yeah,
I think it may have been the lack of, like, she didn't have a helmet or anything. So
it's not like Captain America's suit is just the flag.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's more to, like, it is just literally like, instead of a star, it's the Union Jack, but everything else is the same sort of thing. Even the stripes, like underneath, she's still got Captain America stripes, which is a bit like, well, we don't have stripes.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a bit weird. So yeah, could have done something a bit different with that, especially because, you know, it's a chance to sort of do a big redesign. So I think there'd be people kind of eager to sort of tackle that, but not really much there. And I think I guess she just kind of looked odd going around with no. I think the helmet sort of just makes a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
No secret identity there really. It was just as that. But I mean, small issue really in the long run things, because it was so action packed that you didn't really stare at the suit too much throughout the show anyway. So that's fair.
Yeah, I think they wanted to make that visual. It is a shame they didn't give her a helmet. Yeah. Which I think, in a way, and this might sound daft, but like, I feel like it was almost a sexist move without them maybe realizing.
Yeah.
Because the only reason I can think is to, like, show off her hair.
Make her hair
face, and it's just like, well, why can't she have a helmet as well?
Yeah, because she could. It's still dangerous to go out.
Because the whole thing is that he just didn't make that helmet himself.
I think so. Yeah.
And he went out and he had an actual helmet. Like, and obviously he had the silly costume. But then he painted an A on his helmet and went out there. So.
Yeah.
But she just got the suit straight away, didn't she? Like you know. But his was more sort of fitting of the times.
Yeah. I also thought,
like you say, it is a small gripe.
Yeah. I also thought it was kind of weird that they kept Steve Rogers around after he wasn't the Captain America. I feel like they'd probably just kick him to the curb as soon as it was like, well, you didn't work. Because he's just like this little weedy guy that's just kind of useless.
You're just hanging about with her.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I really thought they'd make him Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah, that would have been good.
That would have been good. But, you know.
Next time.
Missed opportunity there.
Yeah, what if? That's a new
What if, yeah. What if?
Oh, yeah. You reckon they'll start doubling them up?
The layers of what if. Right, well, we've had a good discussion there. Probably gone on a bit. So shall we move on to our reviews?
Yes.
It is I, the Watcher, and today I am watching the first episode of What If. I remember it well. I will start watching, but once it plays, I will not interfere. Now, play. I desperately want to skip the intro. I had forgotten. I want to skip the intro. However, I cannot. I will not interfere. Despite having seen it, I will skip the intro. I've seen it many times, but once it plays, I cannot. I will not interfere. Now play. Yes. Episode 1. I remember it well. The Captain Carter episode. Yes. Very interesting. Yes. No, I have realized I wanted to grab a snack whilst watching this episode. I wish to pause it, but I cannot. I will not interfere. But I also I need to go to the toilet. I hate to say it. I need to go to the toilet. I am rather desperate, but I cannot. I will not interfere, but I must. Okay, I will interfere this second time. I will go to the toilet. Okay, I'm back. I paused it and I would start playing. I desperately wanted that bag of chips. I will pause again. I will interfere this third time, but then never again. I cannot. I will not. Okay, play. Oh no. I have just realized that there's a new episode of the movie is out that I was desperate to watch at this point, so I will have to come back to this later. But when I come back, I will not interfere. Okay, so here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system that goes as follows. Thumbs up. The Avengers. Jurassic Edition. Thumbs down. Well, undefined muscular figures. We need to see the definition on those muscles. And shaky middle. The truth about Benedict Cumberbatch's appearance. We're also unsure. So strange. Okay, so good, bad. Not really sure about that one. So Marvel Studios, What If? Episode 1, Captain Carter, your thoughts?
Yeah, straight away, very much enjoyed the look of it with the 3D, 2D mix-up, mash-up combo. Very, very happy with that. I do, I like the premise of this series overall, really. Like, I think it's good to get those extra little stories out, and why not sort of play around with the canon and the characters and stuff. I think that's quite cool. The fact that it followed Captain America sort of beat by beat was, I wasn't really a big fan of that, mainly because I thought Captain America was like average, so I was forced to watch the same film thing again. But it did have its differences, and those differences were good. I think they did take on board some of the I guess the consequences and what the sort of aftershock would be of these differences, which is quite good. And I think going forward that would be really interesting to see how that changes. As far as the story, the other parts of the story goes, there's bits that I'd have liked to see more of, such as more muscles on Captain Carter. Steve Rogers' importance after he's no longer the size of Chris Evans after he comes out of the thing, that's questionable also. The suit could have done with something a bit different, a bit more eye-catching maybe. And I suppose you sort of always knew where it was going to conclude in a way, because it kind of it went on sort of, like we said, like trodden territory and stuff, but it was still enjoyable. And I think the way that it looks just makes it way more palatable, because it's it's very much, it's smooth, it's clean, but it's also got that kind of that hand-drawn kind of comic look to it and stuff. So even though it was set in a time and there was bits and pieces that weren't really up my street, it was still fun to watch. So I think overall it's probably a thumbs up for What If. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I like the animation really. I don't know why, but it really surprised me because it's not something you see that much in such a mainstream. You know, when it's such a mainstream show, it was almost like they were just going to try and make it look like, you know, a cartoon version of real life. Like it was all going to be just like more Marvel.
Yeah.
But it did have its own look to it, which I thought like was really good. And it wasn't just the look, but the actual action. I thought they done a really good job. Like watching her fight with the shield, and you can do more than you can do in film with the animation, because you know they've got like jumping from plane to plane and all this, you know, working with Steve Rogers' Iron Man. It was just really like that. Like though I had my problems with the pacing, those bits definitely, you know, made up for that.
Yeah.
So that was really enjoyable to watch in that sense. Like I say, pacing was a problem, but I liked, you know, the characters were already established, so you know what you're getting, and they didn't feel too dissimilar. It wasn't like, who is this? Because I don't really remember them. You know, it worked pretty well. So yeah, I too am a thumbs up. Really enjoyed it, and as well, it's nice to have like it's almost like an anthology series where you kind of still getting more. It's not just like there could be more from it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is a rare thing, you know, that they would do something like this for such a big franchise. And the fact that it could matter in the cinematic universe without it definitely mattering is kind of like pressure's off, but it's also a little bit exciting. It's like a good medium. So yeah, thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Not too shabby at all. So what did you think? What did you think, listener? Maybe you loved it. Maybe you hated it. Well, you can let us know on the 3 undefined figures of the internet, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Toon Jam Pod. We love to hear your opinions as well, and we don't always get it right, you know.
Yeah,
it's an opinion at the end of the day. So yeah, let us know how you found it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to rate and review us on whatever it is you listen to. It really helps people find us, and why not go ahead and subscribe? There's many more to come. We're constantly chugging here at Toon Jam, so
that's it.
So don't you worry about that. If you'd like some bonus stuff, you can go to our Patreon, and if you'd like some merchandise, we also have a merchandise store where you can get all sorts of t-shirts and things like that, and that is bit.ly/Toon Jam Shop. So check that out. Otherwise, all that's left to say is thank you so much for listening, and until next time, you stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/toonjampod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you, and stay jammy.